Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel Strike Force. Now, what will we be talking about today? Well, we're going to be talking about Old Man Logan and the return of his trials. Now, you may have heard me mention this in one of my past videos, but basically, Old Man Logan trials are coming back. Now, we do not have the exact date on this as of recording this because I think that they're trying to give us, or they're waiting to give us more details on Friday, August the 2nd, so somewhere around here. There's going to be in that blog, there's going to be the details of the second run of Old Man Logan. So that tells me that we're going to be seeing the event somewhere in this week here. Now it's probably going to be in the Quantum Disco week, not necessarily the Diamond Claws week, but how the structure is going to be, that's going to be a little bit different. I assume that's why they're waiting to tell us more. And just to do a bit of a recap on that one, it was obviously a trial leaderboard, but there was a lot of contestation about how things like 6 yellow and 7 yellow would work the second time around because it was capped at the leaderboard. If I'm not mistaken, I think for 7 it was the top 500, and for 6 yellow it was the top 2,000, I want to say. But now that we have Cabal and Out of Time Farmable, things are going to look quite a bit different. And the reason why it's coming sooner rather than later is because, well, they don't want too many people getting getting leader to 7 yellow, because I don't have them at 7 yellow. I only have them at 6. So what we're going to be covering in today's video is some prep for the event. I have this brand new infographic that I've been working on with Captain King, who has been gracious enough to help me provide this to you guys to know exactly who you need to bring up and the best characters for the traits, in case you guys forgot about what's going on with Old Man Logan. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Okay, so this is my Old Man Logan trial guide infographic that I mentioned with the help of Captain King here. It's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. I just want to go over the expectations of what you're going to need for the different difficulties. So basically, hopefully you have Out of Time and Cabal built up if you want to compete in difficulty 10 or above. Now, if you remember from the first time, I do have a video on my YouTube channel. I'll leave that in the link in the description down below. That if you don't have these teams ready and you don't have them upgraded, especially Out of Time and Cabal, and maybe the other ones as well, that you can actually unlock Old Man Logan through a difficulty 14 or 15 one node run. And typically the characters that you would want to use for that would be Extreme X-Men or Spider Society. Those are the best to do that. And you literally just need to clear that first node and you can walk away with a 4 yellow Old Man Logan. Not that difficult. I did that with my alt account. Honestly, I think 2.5 months in. Honestly, it was quite surprising, actually. I managed to do this at gear tier 16. However, I did manage to clear it for a follower of mine. I used their account to try and clear it, and I did manage to do it with an Extreme X-Men at gear tier 15. So yes, the enemies are very hard. It's a challenging first node when you're doing it at D15, but it is doable with an Extreme X-Men at G15 across the board. So keep that in mind if that's something that you're looking to do. If you are not going to have the rest of this stuff ready, you can still unlock Old Man Logan through using that D14, D15 one node run system. So again, check out my YouTube channel. I have a video on that, and I'll probably talk about this later on again when it comes out. So Out of Time is the first major section. The first node is unrestricted, and the second node is going to be Out of Time. Now, if you want to run the 5-star variant of this, then you're looking at difficulties 11 and 12 for that one. 6-star, 13, 14, 7-star, 15. Now, obviously, the higher difficulties as you go up, the gear tier expectation goes up. So my understanding is, and this is going to vary between the traits. So I think that gear tier 16 is actually enough to do difficulties 11, 10 and 11. But when it comes to the other ones, that's where it gets a little bit tricky, namely the Cosmic Bio section. But we're going to go through this one by one anyways. Obviously, when it comes to Out of Time, the characters that you're going to want to focus on the most is going to be Black Knight, and I would say Cosmic Ghost Rider, in my opinion. So if you're choosing on who you want to build up more, I would focus on those two. The team as a whole is not super important. I think Starbrand is probably the least important if you ask me. But obviously having Cap survive, who is the secondary tank to Black Knight, and Peggy to keep them all healed up is also equally important. But these two characters here are the most. And I do think that if you're kind of thinking about building up for other reasons at the same time. Obviously, characters like Black Knight and Cosmic Ghost Rider are actually decent picks for Dark Dimension 7 as well, or maybe even 6, depending on where you're at in the game. So this is really important here. Now, how things worked before is that if you were able to clear the 5-star variant of this, you would walk away with a 5 yellow Old Man Logan. I believe it capped out at, I want to say 3 red? Because when I was running this, I did not have 5-star across the board because I didn't buy the passes for these characters. And so my Old Man Logan is actually stuck at here, right? 4 yellow, 2 red. So I was not able to get the 3rd red. I believe that was somewhere on the milestone board, or not the leaderboard, but the actual milestones for it. But since I couldn't go to D11 or above, I wasn't able to actually secure this. So I think that this is where I capped out. This is basically the D10 cap, is 4 yellow, 2 red. Now, I'm hoping that they change things. I hope that maybe they make 6 yellow farmable on the milestones and not on the leaderboard. That was a suggestion that I made, was that basically that every time that Logan comes back, you should be able to farm or grind on the milestone board an extra yellow star. So 6 yellow for the second pass, 7 yellow for the third pass, which was realistically what people got from the Scourges and the trial events. So again, focus on Black Knight and focus on Cosmic Ghost Rider for that. For Cabal, we have nodes 6 and 10. It's not just Cabal, it's Cabal, Emma Frost, and Loki. Now, as far as characters that you want to build up the most, it's obviously going to be Cabal. Now, if you checked out my video when I was talking about comparing DD7 and DD8, now that we know the traits for DD8, Cabal is on that list. And Cabal is a pretty solid choice anyways for Dark Dimension 7 if you want to go that villain route rather than the heroes route, then you can do Cabal for sure. And DD8 is going to include global villains, which Cabal is basically the mainstay in that. So definitely safe picks to be able to upgrade. And I think how far you're able to get on this trial is really going to depend on leader and how many stars or how many shards you have for him. Because the rest of them are pretty easy to do. Iron Patriot is moving into the War Store from the Spotlight Raid Orb, and then Namor is easily farmable as well. So that's not really a big problem. And then just make sure that you have the appropriate yellow stars and shards for, early and mid gamers on Loki and Emma Frost, because that's going to have to be, to what your Cabal is as well. So make sure you're not neglecting that as well. But that shouldn't be too difficult to do. So again, I would focus on the priority of these 3. If I had to, I would kind of level them up evenly. To be honest, they're all really good. All 3 of the Cabal are really good. So I would probably just level them up across the board. But you can leave Loki and Emma Frost a little bit lower. Now, I don't have any firsthand experience actually on doing much of the higher content. I have kind of checked it out with other accounts that have been made available to me, but I've just kind of briefly looked at it and things like that. So I don't think, from what I've been talking about with my Discord, is that you don't need Loki and Emma Frost that high. They just kind of need to survive a little bit, but you're not going to be using them in Node 10. You're going to be using a combination in Node 10, most likely not Emma and Loki. So you just want to make sure that these characters are built up and they're going to carry the rest of the team. Now, Cosmic Bio. This is going to be an interesting one and has changed since the last time because we have a little bit of variance now that we have Illuminati, we have Black Bolt, and we have Mr. Fantastic, which, yes, I understand that they're not super amazing, but they're still probably going to be better and worthwhile upgrading over the alternatives. I did list a few of those because I think that it's kind of important to know that, well, depending on where you are in the game's roster and what characters you have available, these are your best picks at this point. Now, I do want to say that the next version of this, the third pass of Old Man Logan, very likely will include the upcoming Annihilator characters, which is going to be Gladiator and Gore the God Butcher, because they're both Cosmic Bio. But I highly, no, they're absolutely not going to be available for this second pass, but they will for later. So that'll be new considerations down the line. So Void Knight, Nova, Super Skrull, Black Bolt, and Mr. Fantastic. Now, if you don't have Super Skrull, you're not completely, out of it. You can still clear it. I just don't know if you'll be able to clear this at the 6 and 7 star level without him. I think it'll be very challenging, and your alternative at that point probably would. Actually, if you're running Nova, then it probably would be Cosmo. Alternatively, you could use Photon as well. I don't know if I would really use Korg standalone. I think you would need that support. If you don't have Super Skrull, I would definitely take on that support character of using Cosmo. Now, I use different characters on this one, and I'll show you what my roster looked like, just because mine is going to look significantly different than newer and mid-game players will. So I do want to, address that and make sure you guys are aware of that. Cosmic Bio. I did use Phyla-Vell, I believe, because that was available. My top roster, technically. So I didn't use Black Bolt. My Black Bolt wasn't even that high before. So I was using Skrull, Void Knight, Photon, Phyla-Vell, and Nova. And that was fine for me. But most of you guys are not going to have Phyla-Vell. Some of you might not even have Photon. So do keep that in mind. So I think that for newer players, it would make the most sense. Super Skrull should be on there, but if you haven't done Dark Dimension 6 yet, then Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic, Void Knight, Photon, and Nova. Hopefully these make the most 5 cents. Otherwise, Cosmo. But I haven't, people who follow my channel know that I haven't really put much investment into the Nowhere team. In fact, the rest of them are at level 1. Cosmo is upgraded a little bit from Black Cat Trials, I want to say. I think I did use a little bit. But other than that, yeah, those are the best 5 there. And hopefully more to come as well. That's the strictest section, honestly. Now for hero skill, there is some option here. However, I'm just going to be blunt that the best option really at the end of the day is Spider Society. They're also going to be made farmable next week. So that's great, right? You would have seen that from the blog post that there was a Penny moving into the Crucible store. You would see that Pav was moving into the Spotlight Raid Orb and Peter B was moving into the Arena store. So you have plenty of time to upgrade these characters. And you don't need them at the required star levels, right? So it's just the out of time. I don't know why I said that because I knew that. It's just these characters that you need at the required star levels. But nonetheless, you'll be able to power them up anyways, and this is the best set of characters. Now, if for whatever reason, you I just put this down here. I don't know if you want to, whatever, maybe you have a high-powered Kestrel. I could see you, replacing maybe Spider-Man Noir or something for Kestrel, but that's really about it. I probably wouldn't throw Black Knight in there, but we did that anyways because he's hero skill. So hero skill, obviously, Spider Society was designed exactly for this section, and they're going to be great for Dark Dimensions 6, 7, and 8 and all that. So absolutely power them up. Shouldn't be that difficult. You do go up against Sinister 6 characters in those nodes, though, but Spider Society are just so powerful that they blow through pretty much everything that they go up against. Spotlight raids as well. There's just so many uses for them that there's no reason not to. So these are your best picks here. And finally, we do have the villain section. Now, what one of my friends told me was that basically you can use Cabal in the villain section because they are villains, right? And apparently it's perfectly fine to do. So you just want to kind of compare. You can either use Sinister 6 as a full, right, if you have them, but if you don't, then you can just leverage Cabal again and use them with characters like Super Skrull or with Apocalypse or with Ultimus, because Ultimus is going to have that Annihilus, the Annihilators rework probably pretty soon. That switch should be flipping pretty soon. Characters like Black Cat, Kang, some great standalone meta characters that you can use alongside Cabal. And keep in mind that in this trial, they do have War and Crucible buffs active. So characters like Kang, are going to get their Crucible bonuses. Titania is another solid choice that's often run alongside Cabal in Cosmic Crucible. So depending on who you have available, she's not on this graphic, but, I don't think you'll need to. I think characters like using Ultimus and Kang, combined with Cabal or just Super Skrull. If you don't, it depends on if you have Super Skrull or not. At this point with the Apocalypse changes, hopefully that's also made a lot easier for a lot of people. So this is nodes 5 and 9. And it's not that difficult anymore. I think there's more choices, and this is pretty typical, right? When a second or a third pass of a legendary event or a trial event or whatever, that things get a little bit easier because more characters become available in those sections. And that's basically what's happened now. The Cosmic Bio, I think, to be honest, is the most challenging section because it will depend on whether or not you have Super Skrull or not. And all I'm trying to say here is that if you do not have Super Skrull, then you may not be able to clear as high of the difficulty bars as you might want to. Even if you have 6-star, I don't know if you'd be able to clear difficulty 14, or it'll be a big struggle if you don't have Super Skrull, which is obviously through Dark Dimension 6. So take that with a little bit of grain of salt. Plan accordingly, and also farm accordingly. Make sure that you're like kind of on top of these 10 characters, because if you are trying to get into the 5-star or the 6-star or even the 7-star bracket, make sure that you have all 10 of those characters at the required star levels, because it's gated. And that's exactly what the next legendary is going to look like, right? So we know that, and to jump ahead a little bit on that one, right? If you're ever thinking about that on the first pass, then you're going to need to make sure that you have these characters at the stars. At least for the next legendary is going to be Illuminati and Annihilators. Anyways, this infographic will be also available in the description down below, and it also will be on my Discord server when this video goes out. So if you want to check this out, if you want to share it around to your alliance and whatnot and other people, then feel free to do so. Otherwise, let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. If there's anyone you think I missed that I could add to this realistically, that should be on this. Otherwise, I hope that this helps you guys prepare for Old Man Logan's trials, especially when it comes to gearing up and knowing what characters to put your investment into. So that's going to be the end of this video, everyone. And until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. We'll probably do another video when it comes to the actual trial structure updates, so keep an eye out for that as well next week. Boilon, signing out.